A man from Ohio flew to Medellin to meet a woman he had been talking to for 4 months. On the first night, she held his hand across the table, laughed at everything he said, and told him he had beautiful eyes. He flew home certain he was in love, and certain she was too. He was half right. He was also about to spend the next 2 years misreading almost everything she did, not because she was hiding something, but because he was reading her in a language he did not speak. Not Spanish, the other one, the one underneath the Spanish. I am Alma, I am Colombian. By the end of this, you will understand the exact places where good men from your country misread good women from mine, and why it is the misreading, not the culture, that breaks these relationships. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel so you do not miss any future videos. Let me start with the thing that confuses you first, because it starts working on you before your plane even lands. The warmth. A woman from Latin America, in most of the region, will meet you with a heat that a man raised in the United States has almost no reference for. She touches your arm when she talks. She calls you mi amor before she knows your middle name. She looks at you like you are the only person in the restaurant, and your entire nervous system, starved from however many years of polite American distance, reads this as one thing and one thing only. She is crazy about me. Maybe she is. But here is what you have to understand, and it will save you months of pain. That warmth is not, by itself, a verdict on you. In much of Latin America, warmth is the temperature of ordinary human contact. She is like that with the waiter. She is like that with her cousin. She is like that with the old man who sells arepas on the corner. It is not a signal she is sending you. It is the air she breathes. You are standing in it, so you feel it, and you mistake the climate for a message. This is the first misread, and it runs in 2 directions. The man who does not understand it flies home and proposes in his head on day 3. And the man who gets burned once overcorrects. He decides all of it was fake, that she is playing him, that the warmth was a tool. Both are wrong. The warmth is completely real. It is just not yet about you specifically. The specific part comes later, and it comes quietly, and I will show you exactly what it looks like when it arrives. Picture this. You are 3 dates in. She is affectionate, she is glowing, and then one evening you say something careless about her country, or her mother, or the way she cooks, and for 1 second the warmth drops, and you see something flat and evaluating behind her eyes. Colombians have a phrase, malicia indígena. It means a kind of street-level shrewdness, an instinct to read what is really going on underneath what a person is showing you. That flat second was it. She was warm with you, yes. She was also, the entire time, watching. Warmth and watchfulness live in the same woman at the same time, and the American man keeps thinking he has to choose which one is the real her. They are both the real her. So here is what you do. Enjoy the warmth, return it, but do not treat it as a score you have already won. Watch for the smaller, later signals, the ones that cost her something. Warmth is what she gives the world. Pay attention to what she only gives you. Before I go further, I have to correct the biggest error hiding inside this entire conversation, including the way I have been forced to speak so far. There is no such person as a Latin American woman. I have been saying it because it is the only phrase that fits on a screen, but it describes a continent, not a person, and if you carry it into real life, it will make you a fool. A woman from Buenos Aires and a woman from a small town outside Santo Domingo have about as much in common as a man from Boston and a man from rural Alabama, which is to say, something, but far less than the label pretends. Let me give you the texture, and then a warning about the texture. Within my own country, a paisa, a woman from Medellin and the region around it, carries a reputation for being traditional, family-centered, proud of her home and her appearance, warm on the surface with steel underneath. A woman from the Caribbean coast, a costeña, tends to be looser, louder, quicker to laugh, and quicker to tell you exactly what she thinks of you. A Bogotana from the capital is often more reserved, more formal, more cosmopolitan, and cooler at first contact. 3 women, 1 country, 3 different weathers. Now go wider. A Mexican woman is frequently shaped by a deep politeness and an indirectness around conflict. She may not tell you no directly, and you have to learn to hear the no inside the yes. A Colombian tends to be warmer and more openly expressive, but also more likely to test you with that watchfulness I described. A Dominican often carries an even higher voltage of that Caribbean directness and heat. An Argentinian can be startlingly European in her manner, more analytical, more likely to argue with you for sport and enjoy it. A Venezuelan may carry the particular weight of a country that fell apart while she was becoming an adult, and that history lives in her in ways you should be slow and gentle about. These are not grades. None of these is the good one. They are different climates, and the mistake is not preferring one. The mistake is not knowing they are different. Here is the warning, and it matters more than any of the texture. Everything I just told you is a tendency, not a rule, and the individual woman in front of you overrides the entire map. The most traditional-looking paisa you ever met may be the one who wants to move to another country and never look back. The cool Bogotana may be the warmest partner you ever have once the formality drops. If you take these regional sketches and use them to predict a specific woman, you have simply built a smaller, more sophisticated stereotype, and you will be wrong in a more embarrassing way. Use them the way you would use knowing someone is from the American South, as a faint hint about the water she swam in, not a script for who she is. Picture yourself telling a woman from Cartagena that you know all about Latin women. Watch her face. You just told her that the specific city she loves, the specific mother she has, the specific life she built, all dissolve into a category you read about online. Nothing shuts a woman down faster. Now picture instead asking her what her town is actually like, what is different about her people, what outsiders always get wrong about where she is from. Watch that face too. One question treats her as a type, the other treats her as a person from a place she is proud of. So throw away the phrase Latin women the moment you leave this video. Ask her where she is from and let it mean something. The map is useful for humility. It is useless for prediction. She is from one specific place with one specific mother, and that is the only country you actually need to learn. Now let me take you into the thing that will surprise you most, because it is the thing that will feel, to an American man, like an intrusion, and it is actually the deepest compliment she can pay you. Her family. In your country, when two adults date, you are dating two adults. Her parents are background. You meet them eventually. You are polite. You go home. In most of Latin America, this is not how it works, and if you walk in with the American model, you will get everything wrong. Here, the family is not a relationship category. The family is the operating system. Everything runs on top of it. This is what people mean by familia, and it is closer to what sociologists call familismo, the family as the center of gravity of a person's entire life, not one relationship among many. Here is what that means for you in practice. When she starts to like you, you do not get her. You get all of them. You will be at Sunday lunch with her mother, her aunts, 3 cousins, and a grandmother who does not speak a word of English and stares at you the entire meal. Her phone will ring during your date, and it will be her mother, and she will answer it, every time, and talk for 15 minutes while you sit there. To an American man, this reads as a red flag. You think, she is not independent, she is enmeshed, her family is controlling her, this is going to be a problem. Turn that completely around. Being pulled into the family is not a warning. It is the highest form of acceptance she can give you. A woman who keeps you away from her family is not protecting you from chaos. She is telling you, in the clearest language she has, that she has not decided about you. The chaos is the welcome. The grandmother staring is the interview. When her mother starts saving a plate for you and asking where you are when you do not come, that is not the family closing in. That is the door opening. Imagine it. You show up to a family lunch you did not especially want to attend. You cannot follow half the conversation, but you carry a chair for the grandmother, you eat everything on your plate, you learn the youngest cousin's name and remember it the next week. You did not say anything clever, you were simply present and respectful in their world. And that night she looks at you differently, softer, more certain, and you have no idea why, because in your culture nothing significant happened. In hers, everything did. So do not fight the family. Do not try to peel her away into a private American-style couple. Show up, learn the names, carry the chair. When you marry a woman from Latin America, you are not marrying a woman. You are being adopted by a nation of her relatives, and the smartest thing you can do is stop resisting the adoption. Which brings me to how she will actually tell you she loves you, because it is almost never the way you are expecting, and men miss it constantly. You are probably waiting for the big moments. the declaration, the expensive dinner, the grand romantic gesture, because that is how love is dramatized where you come from. Meanwhile, she is speaking love to you in a completely different currency, all day long, and you are not hearing a word of it, because you do not know it is a language. The word is detalles. It means literally details. The small, daily, almost invisible attentions that in her world are the actual proof of love, not the grand gesture, the tiny, constant one. Detalles is her texting you good morning every single day without fail. It is her remembering that you do not like cilantro and quietly making your portion without it. It is her noticing you look tired on Tuesday and asking about it on Wednesday. In much of Latin America, love is not measured by the height of the peaks. It is measured by the consistency of the small things. A man who forgets to text for 2 days but shows up with roses on the third has it exactly backwards in her eyes. The roses are nice. The 2 days of silence are the message she actually received. And this is where American men, especially good, successful, generous American men, get it most wrong. You are used to solving things with sighs. You want to show her you care, so you reach for the big thing, the trip, the jewelry, the dramatic surprise. And you are genuinely confused when it does not land the way you expected, when she is grateful but somehow not moved. It did not move her because it is not the language of the relationship. She is not keeping score of what you spend. She is keeping score of whether you notice her. Here is the scene. She comes home from a long day, tired, a little quiet. You do not buy her anything. You do not plan anything. You just already made the tea the way she likes it, and you already turned on the show she has been watching. And when she sits down, you put your hand on her back and ask about the coworker who has been bothering her, by name, because you remembered. That costs almost nothing. It will land harder than a diamond. Because the diamond says, I have money. The tea says, I was paying attention to you when you were not looking. So stop trying to win her with sighs. Win her with attention. Grand gestures are what you do when you have not been paying attention all along, and you are trying to make up for it in one expensive night. She can tell the difference. Every woman can. Now I have to talk about the thing nobody wants to talk about honestly, because everyone talks about it dishonestly. Money. You have read the forums. You know the warning. She only wants your money. They are all after a visa, gold diggers. And on the other side, you have the cynics telling you to use the economic gap as leverage. Both of these are poison, and both of them will ruin your chances and possibly your life. So let me give you the honest version instead. First, the insulting assumption. If you walk into a relationship with a woman from Latin America already believing that her interest in you is fundamentally about your bank account, you have done two terrible things at once. You have insulted a woman who may love you, and, this is the part the cynics never tell you, you have made yourself the perfect target for the very small number of women who actually are running that game. Do you understand why? Because a man who assumes all of them are after money has no way to tell the real one from the fake one. Paranoia is not protection. Paranoia is blindness wearing a badge. Now the honest part. Yes, in many parts of Latin America there is less of a safety net than you are used to. Yes, stability matters to her, sometimes urgently, in a way that a woman from a wealthy suburb of your country may never have had to feel. But hear this clearly. Wanting stability is not the same as being mercenary. A woman who wants a partner who is steady, who provides, who will not disappear, is not a gold digger. She is a human being who has watched instability hurt the people she loves. In her culture, a man who provides and a man who cares are not two different men. Provision is one of the dialects of love. When she values your steadiness, she is not pricing you. She is telling you what safety feels like to her. So how do you tell the difference between a woman who loves you and a woman who is transacting? Not by her warmth, and not by whether she values security. Both of those are present in the real thing too. You tell by reciprocity. Does care flow in both directions, or only toward her? Does she treat you well when there is nothing to gain? When you are sick, when you are tired, when you have said no to something she wanted? Does her interest survive an ordinary argument that has nothing to do with money? The woman who loves you will still be there, still warm, still fighting for the relationship, on the day you are not useful. The one who is transacting loses interest the moment the flow reverses. You do not need to be paranoid. You need to be patient and watch which way the river runs when it is not being fed. And since I know it is sitting in the back of your mind, Let me answer the honest question underneath a lot of this. Why would a younger woman from my part of the world genuinely want an older man from yours? Sometimes it is nothing romantic to explain. She wants steadiness. She wants to be treated with consideration and calm after a relationship or two that gave her neither. She wants to build something, and she has met someone serious enough to build it with. That is not a mystery, and it is not a scam. But do not let anyone sell you the ugly version of this, that women here are fleeing their own men because their own men are somehow lesser. That is a lie, and it is a lie that will make you insufferable at that family lunch. Most women in my country meet, love, and marry men from my country, and live full, happy lives you will never see, because those women are not on the app you met her on. The men who come looking for us are a self-selected slice, and so are the women who come looking for them. What you are in is not a demographic. It is two specific people deciding about each other. Treat it as anything less and you will deserve the disappointment you get. Tell me honestly, how many of these have you already gotten wrong without realizing it? Leave it in the comments. I read all of them. Now let me take you into dangerous territory, because this is where American men either panic or get manipulated, and I want you to do neither. Jealousy, pride. Celos is the word for jealousy, and here is the cultural fact you need first. In much of Latin America, a flash of jealousy is often narrated as a sign of caring rather than a sign of a problem. Where you come from, if your partner gets jealous, the modern instinct is to call it a red flag, a boundary issue, something to be worked on in therapy. Here, a little jealousy is frequently read as evidence that she is invested, that you matter, that she would fight to keep you. When she gets a flash of celos because a woman laughed too long at your joke, her instinct is not, I have an insecurity to manage. Her instinct is closer to, of course, I care, so I feel it. Now, I am not going to lie to you to make the culture sound romantic, because a lie here can trap you. So hear both halves of this. A flash of expressive jealousy is cultural, and if you treat every spark of it like a clinical symptom, you will make her feel judged for feeling something her whole world considers normal. But controlling jealousy, going through your phone, isolating you, tracking where you are, exploding, is not love in any culture on earth, and the fact that it may be dressed in warm words does not change what it is. The healthy version and the dangerous version can look similar for 1 second and then they diverge completely. Do not pathologize the spark. Do not tolerate the cage. Those are two different skills and you need both. And then there is orgullo, pride. This one has destroyed more relationships in my part of the world than infidelity ever has. Orgullo is the thing that makes a small argument last 3 days, because neither person will be the first to soften. It is the reason she will not text you first after a fight, even though she is miserable, and the reason a man will not apologize, even when he knows he is wrong, because to bend first feels like defeat. Pride is a virtue here. It is dignity, it is self-respect, it is the refusal to be treated as less than you are, and it is also, unguarded, the exact thing that turns a solvable problem into a permanent wound. Here is the scene. You had a stupid fight about nothing, where to eat, who was late. Now it is silent. She is in the other room and you know you can feel that she is just as sad about the distance as you are, and both of you are waiting for the other one to cross the room first, because crossing first feels like losing. Hours pass, a whole evening dies over a restaurant. This is orgullo, on both sides, and it is completely unnecessary. So be the one who crosses the room, not because you lost, because you are secure enough not to need the win. In a culture where pride keeps two people frozen in separate rooms, the man who can reach across without feeling diminished is not weak. He is the strongest person in the house. Her pride is real and you must respect it, but someone has to melt the ice first, and if you can be that person without resentment, you will end fights in 10 minutes that would otherwise last 3 days. Which leads to the truth that reframes everything, the one that separates the men who make it from the men who do not. You keep thinking you are the one choosing. You are not the only one choosing. There is a word, entrega. It means a total handing over of yourself, complete emotional surrender to another person. It is the deepest thing a woman from my part of the world can give you, and here is what you have to understand about it. The early warmth is not it. The warmth, remember, is the climate. Entrega is the decision, and she does not give it early, and she does not give it easily. and she absolutely does not give it just because you flew down and paid for dinner. She gives it after she has watched you, tested you without telling you she was testing you, and concluded that you are safe to fall into. Once she gives it, her loyalty will astonish you. But it is earned, on her terms, on her timeline. And the entire time you thought you were evaluating her, she was evaluating you. This is the reframe American men need most, because so much of the advice out there treats you as the buyer walking through a market. You are not the buyer. You are also being considered. She is asking, quietly, in her own language, is he steady? Is he kind when no one is watching? Does he respect my mother? Does he cross the room first? Will he still be here when I am not glowing? When I am sick? When I am ordinary? Every day you thought you were auditioning her, she was auditioning you right back, and she was better at hiding it. Picture the moment it turns. Months in, something goes wrong in her life. A family crisis, a loss, a fear she has never told anyone. And instead of performing strength for you, she lets you see her frightened. She lets you see the version underneath all the warmth. That is not a small evening. That is entrega beginning. She has decided you are safe. And if you understand what you are being handed in that moment, not a prize you won, but a trust you were granted, you will treat it correctly. And if you think you simply got the girl, you will fumble the most valuable thing a person has ever given you. So stop performing conquest. Understand that you are being chosen at least as carefully as you are choosing. The man who gets this relaxes, because he is no longer trying to close a sale. He is simply becoming someone worth surrendering to. That is a very different project, and it is the only one that works. I want to close with the piece almost every foreign man neglects, and it is the one that decides whether you ever truly know her at all. Language. She may speak beautiful English. You may never have a communication problem in the practical sense, and you can still spend years never actually meeting her, because the woman you are dating in English is a translation of herself. Her humor lives in Spanish. Her childhood lives in Spanish. The private language she uses with her mother, the jokes with her sisters, the exact word for the feeling she has right now that does not exist in your language. All of it lives in a room you have chosen not to enter. When you make her love you only in your language, you are asking her to hand you a smaller, flatter version of who she is, and then you wonder why something feels slightly out of reach. Learn the language. Not perfectly, but enough to sit at that family lunch and catch the joke. Enough to whisper something to her in her own tongue. Enough that her mother's stories are not a wall of sound you smile politely through. The day you say something tender to her in Spanish, clumsy, accented, wrong in 3 places, and you watch her face open in surprise, you will understand. You did not just say words. You walked into the room she thought you would never bother to enter. That is the day she stops feeling slightly alone next to you. Here is what all of this has been pointing at. Every misread I have shown you comes from the same root error. You were trying to figure her out as a type, decode a category, learn how Latin women are, so you could get it right. And there is no such thing. There is no formula, and anyone selling you one is selling you a very confident way to fail. The warmth, the family, the détails, the money, the pride, the surrender, the language. None of it is a code you crack once and win. It is a person you pay attention to, one specific person, for as long as she lets you. That is the gap between the men who succeed here and the men who leave bitter. The bitter ones treated a woman like a puzzle and got angry when she would not stay solved. The ones who make it stopped trying to win and started trying to see. And the strange thing is, that is exactly when it starts to work. Because the moment she feels that you are looking at her, and not at a Latina, she can finally set down the whole performance and just be a person with you. That is all she ever wanted. Not to be understood as a category, to be seen as herself. She was never a puzzle. She was a person waiting to find out whether you would treat her like one. The men who understand this change in a way you can watch happen. They get quieter and more confident at the same time. They stop asking, what do these women want, and start asking, who is this woman? They stop trying to close and start trying to know. And they end up with something the strategists and the cynics never get anywhere near, a woman who chose them fully, on her own terms, and stayed. Creating these videos takes real time alongside my full-time work, so if you are getting value from this, please support the channel by subscribing, It tells the algorithm to show this to more men who need it. See you in the next video.